Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to demonstrate you how to integrate with Google Drive to access stored file, to upload file, to download file. So in this video, you will only see how to access files and view in Salesforce, and in next videos, you will see how to upload files to Google Drive from Salesforce and also how to download it. So here is the demonstration demo how we have done it. We have one Google Drive, and in this Google Drive I have created one folder within that within the folder this, and in this folder I have uploaded one attachment, one media file, or one text file here. So I would like to see this text file in Salesforce. For that I will have to integrate that with the Salesforce to this Google Drive. How we are going to do that? Here first I have created one object, and in this object I have created one record as main, and in this main record I have created one folder, this folder field. So this folder field will access the folder ID. So this is the ID of the folder, this one. So you need to get this ID and save into this record, because Salesforce will only work on in this folder. Whatever file will be stored into this folder we can access. If you want, you can arrange, you can maintain your folders accordingly. Also you can customize according to your own business logic, but I'm just showing the basic functionality to integrate with Google Drive. So this is the Visual Force page tab. Once you click on this tab, you will be asked to authenticate first, and once authenticated you will be able to see the list of files in this folder. So I'm going to authenticate first. So you need to provide the email address accordingly, so for which you have kept the files into this folder. So it has been authenticated, and you can see that this is the available files here. So if I place number of uploaded if I upload more files into this drive here, which is being uploaded now, so you can see these are the files has been uploaded. Now if I refresh this page and authenticate again, I will be able to see these are the files which has been just uploaded is available. So all the types of files are available. So you can also import number of details of the attachment, like these are the details like types, in which location it is, and what is the owner, and which date it has modified last and created. Now there is another functionality also. If you click on this, you will be able to open it in the Google Drive application. Also if you click on this file, you will be able to open in the Google Drive doc, and from here you can download it as well. So it's in the next tutorial you will also see how to download and how to upload files. For now it's just to integrate with Google. So how this has been obtained? So also there is one thing I would like to share with you, is like these are the apps which has been connected with this Google Drive. So this is the app which has been created and is being used for this authentication. So process is like, you need to create one app in Google. So you need to go to console.developer.google.com, and from here you need to go to API Manager, and in API Manager you need to go to this credential, and in credential you need to create one credential. So I have created one credential here, this, and in this credential if you open, you will be able to see this is the client ID and this is the client secret. So for each and every authenticated app you will have one client ID and client secret. For Salesforce as well, you will have these two parameters for REST API connection and everything. So and there will be one authorized redirect URI. So here you need to provide this URI, which would be the authenticated URI. So once it is authenticated, so first process is like, first you need to authenticate with this app and redirect to this path. So first you need to authenticate with this client ID and client secret, then you need to fetch the access token using your Google ID password, and after that it will be redirected to this Visual Force page. And after that I have made the authentication using this OpenID Connect process. So using the REST API, this URL has been hit, and in response we have received the access token to authenticate with the google.com Google Drive. So here is the code I'll share with you. So first you need to create one Apex class and go to click create new Apex class. So first is that you need to authenticate with your application being used to perform this Google Drive and Salesforce REST API integration. So first I'm providing one name as app. Now I'm assigning this as main app. So I need to create one controller as well. So this is the controller. So it will just authenticate with Google and will share you the access token. Okay. Now I'm saving it. Now I'm going to create another class which is global type, and it will create the URI, authentication URI request. So I'm marking as global class. So this class will generate the authentication URL to send to Google. Now in Google, I'm going to create one credential authentication client ID, and in authentication client ID it would be web application. So I'm naming as code mania, and here is the authorized redirect URL which I will provide later once the web page is created. This is my client ID and this is my client. So I'm just going to copy this ID. This is the app which has been created. Now this is the client ID and the clients. Now I'm going to find this in a private string. I have defined key and another string of redirect URI. So it will fetch the host, URL api1.salesforce.com, and this is the page name I am defining as Google Drive in T. Okay, so this is the page I will create, and this is the redirect URL we have to provide, and this is the name it has to be. So I have created one. Going to this. Now after authentication it will redirect one token. So I'm defining as code mania token and one private string as access token. So this would be the username password token, authentication token. So it's called access. Now in this global class I'm defining one constructor with two parameters. I'm passing client key and the redirect. So it will redirect one URL. Now before we proceed with the URL creation link, we need to properly encode the client key and URL as a URL encoder. So this is the process this is the method. Using this method we can encode the string as URL. Now this is the authentication URI. So we need to send the request to this with all these parameters. It is found in OpenID Connect. With these parameters we need to connect to Google. So it will return. I am going to create one global authentication URI. I am going to return this authentication URI. This is now this value is authenticated with this. Once constructor is called, now we are going to create one method. So this method this is the page reference we are going to create, which will call this class and its parameter global variable. So we are going to call this method, call this class and its constructor and the global variable. So it will redirect you to the page for authentication, this page with all these parameters and value, and it will return to your page according to this. Now I am going to create one Visualforce page with this name, integration. So in this page you can see I have defined only one command button and associated with this controller, and this command button will call this method. So let's see what happens. It will be asking for the authentication and it's asking to allow for this new app. Okay, and will be redirected to this. Once allowed, redirected to this page with some parameters, and also you can see there is one parameter, some value. So we need to fetch this parameter, which is the authentication token for this app. Okay, so we are going to receive this authentication token once the authentication is done. So this is the authentication token we are going to receive and going to store into this variable. And now And now if this authentication token not is equal to null, then it will be asking to get the access based on the ID pass authentication. So let's get the authentication token, access token. So this is the method which will access the access token from Google and will help to authorize the request. So to receive this access token, we need to create one HTTP request and method as post, and set the endpoint as this, and set the header content type as application /x www forum URL encoded. And here is the main function is the message body. How do we define this message body? So for that we need to define code is equal to code identification token which has been received from here, and client ID is equal to key, and client secret is equal to secret, and redirect URI is equal to redirect URI will be the, and grant type is equal to authorized code. Now there is another header. So this is the standard message body for this authorization access to Google Drive, and this is the content length of this message body. We need to convert into string and set the request for this request body as message body, and this is a timeout for this authorization access. Now we need to create one HTTP object, and you need to send this request via HTTP, and the response will be captured into this HTTP response. Now HTTP response will be received as the JSON parser. So once the response is received, you need to parse the response, and in the response there will be one parameter as. So first you need to parse with the access token field name, and then you need to get the value for this access. So it will be stored into this access token variable. So once the access token is received, you need to use this access token to authorize your Google Drive. I mean to log into your Google Drive. So to log into your Google Drive, you need to send another request using the same access. Okay. Now once the access token is received, I need to get the list of files available into this driver. Into this folder Google Drive. So as you see, I have defined this folder ID in this record. So this folder ID, and I'm fetching this folder ID using this query and storing into a string variable. Now I am going to create another HTTP request which is type is now get, not post. Previous was post, and now this one is get, and the endpoint as this googleapi.com/drive/v2/files, and this is the folder ID and this is the children. So it will access all the files of this folder, and the content type URL encoded, and content length is 0 as we are not using any message body. And the authorization, this is the main fact, authorization main syntax we need to consider. Authorization parameter should be encoded as bearer, and here is one space, and this is the access token we have received previously, and request which will receive the response which will receive, it will last for this time, this millisecond. Now we are going to send this request via HTTP. So once request is sent, it will receive the request as a response, and the response will be in a JSON format, JSON parser, JSON object. So we need to parse the JSON. So using this parsing, we are parsing the JSON. So the response which will be received will have only this few parameters ID. As you can see, the JSON response would be like this. So if we send this request, and the response will be as this kind ID, self link and child link. So only we can access from here is the ID. In this by parsing this response, we have received the ID, but how to display the name in that case? So for now we are just storing the ID into a variable, this file list, which need to be defined. Which is a list of string. So I'm going to define one list of string here, list of string, and this is equal to in the constructor. Why we're defining here, I'll explain that. So this IDs has been stored into this file list. Now the problem is that we have only ID, and it's not good practice to display an ID, so that a user will not be able to understand. So for that we need to get the names. To get the names, we need to send the request to Google Drive one more. How to send the request? So in that case, we are going to create one method of file properties, which is type is map. So this is the file properties which has been created here. So I'm creating one map of string which will store the file ID and its corresponding name. So by sending one request to this endpoint v3 files, so it will receive all the files and folders and details, and its details like ID, name, everything. And authorization is same, bearer space access token, and it will send to the Google, and the response will be received, and the response has to be parsed in this, that if this is the field name and if ID, then we need to go to the next ID to fetch the value and stored in a string variable, and then we need to define parse next token again, and we'll have to go to the name token and it's getting the value, and we are going to store into the map, this map, okay, and put file ID and file name. So it will restore all the file directory and its ID and its name, and it will return file properties details, this map. So once the map is created, we are going to assign into a temporary map. So here we create map of string comma string this. So map is created. Now in this map we are going to fetch according to running a for loop of this list of files where we can have the name. So we can store into a new map, this one, which will be used into the Visualforce page. So we need to define as public string comma string, which would be a name and ID this, and also we need to allocate the memory into the constructor, okay, from this file name and map. Now we save this. Okay, now we are going to create one page block table, and in the page block table we are going to use this map. Value is equal to this map and its whereas. Now in this map we have file name and file ID, so I am going to use on apex column header value as drive files and value as, which will be the value means name of the files. Now we need to define one output link which will open the files in a Google Drive mode, view mode, and output link I am going to use this value within this output link, so it would be better. So in this output link value is equal to this one and this one, so it will open the Google Doc this of this ID doc into a drive.google and open in a Google viewer, and target would be, so let's see how does it work. So let's authenticate using this ID, and it will be asking to allow or not, and you can see all the files. Okay, so once authenticated, you don't have to authenticate 2 times with the user ID password. For example, I delete all this trash. So once deleted, you will be not able to click on authenticate, go to this, and you see no files are found. Now if you go to this and try to upload the files, now if you go to Salesforce and authenticate again, you'll be able to see the files. Okay, so this is how we can authenticate with Drive and fetch the files in a particular folder. So all the codes and classes are attached as in the description. You can download it, and you can also implement your customized solution into this authentication. And this is the URL, and this is the REST API help doc of Google, where you can send Google Drive different requests via different request URL as well, so that you can upload, delete, and also download the files. Our next video will be about uploading and downloading and deleting files, so that all the Google Drive file management is available in Salesforce. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe this channel and help us to spread our channel to all the people. Thank you.